Hello and welcome to another episode of Memory Card, and today I want to talk about the GameCube, the good old Nintendo GameCube. A strange console, an interesting console, a fun console, a console that you could get at launch in the UK in either black or purple. Black, I suppose, to a lot of folk that grew up in the 90s, the noughties, um, is the colour of most of your consoles. The N64 was black. The PS2 was black. I suppose the PS1 was grey or white. Um, but really, a lot of the modern consoles moved towards black. So to have a console that was purple, and I think that was the main colour, was purple. That was what you would see in a lot of the ads, was purple. It was just a strange colour to go for. For all the colours you could come up with, purple. But I suppose this was Nintendo being quirky, this was them being fun. They did Game Boy Colors were purple, they were yellow, they were green, they were blue. So why not a home console? I remember Latry as well, they had some other quirky colours. And of course, Japan got some exclusive colours, I think, because one of them was called Spice, but it was this orange colour. So it was quite a strange thing to have a multicoloured games console. It was an odd time. This console also had a carry handle. Again, no console that I can remember before that I owned, and after that I've owned, that had a carry handle. But it did. I suppose it was a nice feature. The thing was light enough you could carry around with you and you could put in your bag and take to a friend's house. So it was a nice feature, I guess. Another nice thing about this console was the controller. The controller, it felt like it fitted into your hand. It felt chunky, it felt like it could take a lot of punishment. And I guess because Nintendo was, I guess, primarily bought by parents for their children, that it needs to be durable in the hands of children. And this thing really was. It felt like it being designed by Tony Hart, something to be used by Morph. That was the kind of feeling to it. Was quite a strange, curvy thing. Some of them these days do have harsher lines, but this thing was really. It was like a lump of plasticine that you just punched and then stretched. So it was weird, groupy design, but it worked. It fitted in your hands perfectly well. It was one of these things that you don't know why no one has sort of completely emulated the button design of this controller since. The shoulder buttons, the L and R, were curved. They had little wedges, I suppose, the top and bottom, but they were curved so your fingers could sit nicely on them. Nobody else has done that after this. The buttons of all for the controllers, by and large, are flat and springy. I suppose FPSs have defined the shoulder buttons because that's what they have. For the grenades, for the shooting and the aiming. So for shooting rapidly, you want something that's quite a fast twitch trigger. But the GameCube didn't have that. They were clunky, they were slow, they had a lot of give in them, and they were just great buttons. They had this satisfying clunk when you hit them as well. And I suppose they had some leeway. They did have The slight oversight, though, which I always called an oversight, was the Z trigger. The Z trigger, I suppose, was their fast twitch trigger. Not great. It didn't always work if you hit it super quickly. It was a bit of a hit and miss button, but the rest of the buttons were brilliant. It was a game controller where they acknowledged the fact that a lot of games the action button is A. So A was massive. And then B, a secondary button, was a lot smaller. And then you had X and Y, these little curved buttons around the top of the A. It was an interesting design. It was, in fact, I think probably a unique design within controller configurations, because leading up to this point, controllers were usually flat boxes. The Mega Drive had curves for your hands, but the button layout was in a line. It was all about lines. The Mega Drive, 3 buttons in a line. The NES, 2 buttons in a line. The Super Nintendo, 2 buttons in a line, kind of off a slant, and then 2 buttons above that in a line. It was all about lines. But here was a controller you had that didn't conform to lines. This was the N64 had buttons in a different formation. But this was a controller that didn't conform to this. Sony went their own way with putting things in kind of a triangular formation, or a diamond formation. But this controller didn't conform to anything like that. Xbox followed. The buttons were in a diamond formation there, 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 and there. But this didn't. This was a unique beast among controllers. This was a controller all of its own design. This was buttons, a big button, buttons around this, curved around the top of it, and one at the bottom. It was a strange thing. But it worked. It seemed to make sense. Also, they took away the C buttons that were on the N64 and made it a control stick, so it was multi-directional. So you could move that control stick, the C stick, into the angles. You don't have to press up and right or down and right at the same time, which was a bit cumbersome. You could push it in that direction like the analog stick that you had on your left hand. And it was a great thing. They were off kilter. And if you look at the Switch controller, they're off kilter as well. But though that I think is for a different reason to what I'm thinking of. But this was I think done deliberately, and it was a brilliant design. I really liked it. I don't understand why to go for strange button combinations now. There are kind of designs like this. They're actual adaptive controllers designed for people that have difficulty in whatever way, shape, or form, and they're adapted to playing the game. And it's just, I don't know why mainstream controllers aren't more kind of done like this. I honestly don't. For me, it kind of to have the action button bigger and more prominent. I suppose they don't have a button bias on other consoles. I don't know. But this was such a brilliant console for me. It felt fun to play it. The games were great. I think it was one of Nintendo's strongest consoles. Some people have said it was weak and it flopped, but I really enjoyed it. They brought back Metroid, which was great. I loved Metroid. But Luigi had his own game, Luigi's Mansion, Mario Sunshine. frustrating but great fun. Mario Kart Double Dash, my favourite Mario Kart of all time. It was just, for me, a work of genius, a masterpiece of a console. If you don't have one, why? It's not just a console for kids. It was quirky, it was great. One little thing that I remember was about this was when you booted it up, there was this cube on the screen, and then the GameCube logo would unfold around it in squares. Like, and then the final one at the end, it would go boom, and the game would start. And if you held down the Z button, you get the sound of a kid laughing. Nuts, I know, but it was just a fun little quirky touch. It was a great game. And also, design. I think that it was just one of these things that it's a console that was unique amongst the mainstream consoles. It's a console that will not be hope forgotten. It's a design that I think that people won't go for again. It was tall in its main standing position. I know consoles, you can spin them on their sides nowadays and what have you, but it was great. I really liked it. I really liked the off-kilter control sticks. It was just fantastic. I could list off so many great games, so many great memories for this console. I played Smash Brothers with my friends for hours. It would take up entire weekends. It took up entire years of my gaming life. It was a fantastic console. It was, I think, it came out at the point when Sony's consoles were something like £200, £300. And here was this little box of joy that was £180, I think it launched at. I think the lowest price of any home console at that point. It was a perfect price point. I don't know why it died. I don't know why it failed. I don't understand. It launched at a brilliant price, had so many great games. I think maybe the aesthetic of the controller and the whole thing, it was purple, maybe made it a bit too kid-like. You could get a black one, but I don't know if that's what brought it down. I couldn't say. I'm the wrong person to ask. For me, it was a hit. For me, it hit home run after home run after home run. So thank you for watching. If you, like me, or a fan of this console, let me know in the comments. If you like the videos, hit subscribe. And whatever that amorphous blob is that's meant to be, I guess, a bell, hit that if you want notifications, I guess. And I'll be back. I'll try and do these a bit more often. Thank you for watching.